listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hello, guys. Thanks for tuning into Reality Wrap this evening. I have Sideshow Sean with me tonight.
How we doing, team?
He loves to be called Sideshow Sean.
You know, I really do.
He wants me to call it to him all the time. And I do mean all the time. In the house, when we're not recording, just in general.
I would make t-shirts if it were socially acceptable.
God. I mean, you are a sideshow, that is for sure. Anyway, tonight we are going to be recording The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills Season 13, Episode 13, which was good.
It was in the high B range.
Yeah.
It was almost a low A.
It was nice to see them go on vacation. I'm looking forward to this vacation.
Yeah, and there are some definite things I am starting to really enjoy, and I'll get into that a little bit. That there's a friendship that I really like.
Supposedly they're recording the reunion this week. I don't know what day, but it's supposed to be this week, I think. So it'll be interesting to see if we get any information out on that or any photos of their dresses or anything, although that probably won't come for a couple of weeks.
I don't know. In protest of Monica, I've started rewatching Mob Wives to give another network a chance there, Bravo.
I love Mob Wives.
I do too, actually.
It was so good. Oh, it was so good.
Season, only the first 6 seasons.
Yeah, I agree. It was like the first couple seasons, and then it started getting... No. When they started bringing in some of the newbies, I was like,
Once we lost Big Ange, I was kind of...
Yeah. I think we lost her after... Was that on the show?
No.
Was that after the show ended?
After the show,
yeah. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into the recap. The women are packing for Spain. We see Sutton and Avi, and they are in Sutton's closet. Sutton pulls out a shirt that is on a plastic hanger, and she points at it and taps on it and says, "You know I don't like plastic hangers." And I was like, oh my God, Mommy dearest. No wire hangers! Ever! Avi just kind of looks at her.
I hope Avi's pulling down 6.5 figures.
Yeah.
To be putting up with some of the
stuff
she puts up with.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they love each other and they're good friends, but... Whew.
Yeah. Sutton tells Avi that she's bringing Merce, who turns out to be in the form of ashes.
Dust in a Ziploc bag as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, wow. So they're trying to see if he's going to fit in this little... container, and I was just like, oh my God, because she doesn't know how to transport him. But then we see in Spain he's in the same exact package he was.
Yeah, she didn't put too much thought into it.
Yeah, because she took him exactly the way he was.
I decided to do nothing.
So anyways, I guess Merce was a famous choreographer that she worked with, and she's decided she wants to spread his ashes in Spain.
I love when Erika talked about not knowing who he was.
I didn't. I mean, I'm not in the
And Mikey
industry,
all but slapped her.
How
dare you?
How dare you?
Mikey's a man of culture. I love it.
The women arrive to the airport. Everybody seems to be getting along. We see them on the flight. Dorit is wearing Chanel slippers on the airplane. And all I could think of was, I can't believe you'd wear nice slippers like that on an airplane. Because airplanes are disgustingly filthy.
I think actually the disgusting thing is she's wearing slippers. That's gross too.
Well,
Two gross things are happening.
But I hope those are travel slippers, because not in a million years would I wear my slippers on an airplane and then walk around my house. I mean, it was probably a long flight if you figure they're all the way from California all the way to Spain. Yeah. That was a long flight, so they had to sleep. You're not going to sleep with your shoes on, but still.
Once I'm on the plane, I'll take my shoes, or I'll take my feet a little bit out of the shoes, but I'm not that guy that's pulling his shoes and socks out for everyone to see and smell. No, leave your shoes on.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
So they arrive to Spain and load up onto the Sprinter van. Sutton has them play a game called All of a Sutton, and the prize is a tiara from her store. All of the questions are based around her. Erika wins, and Sutton tells Garcelle, you really should have won since you're my best friend, and we talk on the phone almost daily. But somehow Erika wins, so...
Well, and that's the friendship, too. I do, as I've watched these two, they're fun to watch. And it seems like their friendship is, off camera, too.
Yes. Well, I think they're both from Georgia.
I like that.
Are they both? They're both from the South. I think they're both from Georgia.
Did they know each other before the show?
No, but they're from, the same area.
So I like that.
So they're
you know what I mean? There actually really
that.
was a friend connection. It's
yeah.
Cool.
So they arrive to the castle that they're staying at. And, of course, it's haunted by little people. And we find out that Erika can smell spirits. I was like, how do you smell spirits? You know what? I have to be honest. I would not want to stay in that castle. cool because it's old, 700 years old, but it looked haunted and outdated.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can smell spirits. I don't know. I've never heard of that, but I'm not like some kind of expert or anything, you know?
Yeah.
It's interesting. Who knows how people sense different energies, right? And how they're able to perceive it.
Do you remember the haunted house we lived in?
Yes.
In Michigan?
That's why I don't
question it. That was
question
scary
it.
shit, man.
That's why I don't question it.
I did not like it. We lived in this old mother-in-law house behind our landlord's house, who was like this little old lady. And
really
like,
nice.
Right? Yeah, super
Sweetheart.
nice old lady. And right before we moved into this old mother-in-law house, her husband died.
Right before.
Like right before. So we move in and like weird stuff started happening. We'd come home and like all of our kitchen cabinets would be open. I would have the lights turn off. Like physically the switch was turned off.
Yeah.
And you always got that feeling like coming up the stairs like something was behind you. It was just, yeah. And one time I woke up in the middle of the night and my dog was like in the corner of the room growling at nothing.
Yep.
Just into the corner.
I'd seen her do that. That was Shadow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that place gave me the heebie-jeebies like big time.
Remember it snowed that one time all the way up. So we slept on the second floor and we looked out our window.
A snowdrift.
And the snowdrift was even with our second story window.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
haunted places are spooky to me. I would have totally been Garcelle. I would have had to go and sleep in somebody's room. Because,
I will say,
especially that in that place,
the rent was very reasonable.
Yeah, it was super cheap.
It was like $200 a month or something like that.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. It was
I'd still live there for that money. It was cheap.
Yeah, no, I would not. Anyways, they draw for rooms. Everybody seems happy with their room. They all go and unpack. Dorit's closet falls down and all of her Chanel falls on the floor. Kyle has packed a bunch of leather outfits. Dorit keeps making fun of all of her clothing, saying that her clothes look like a hooker and that she should get rid of everything. And I was like, whatever, Dorit.
So I thought Dorit was inappropriate when she said that. It's like, we don't like a little competition, Dorit. And but the same token,
I know she literally wears her boobies out all the time.
Yeah, and I know as a guy, I'm not going to sound too credible saying this. They're a little too big for her body.
Yeah, because she's so small.
Yeah, her rib cage it's
tiny.
They
and
shouldn't
her shoulders.
poke east and west from your rib cage.
Yeah,
it doesn't look. I don't want to body shame. Sorry, I apologize.
So they go to eat. Sutton decides it's a good time to bring out Merce and introduce him to everybody. And everyone's
that was hilarious.
Like, he's in a Ziploc bag.
When she had it right by Crystal's face while they were at dinner.
I know. She's like, this is my friend Merce. And they're like,
no bound.
Wait, what?
I'm going to be a close
person
talker, yeah, with this dusty old man in a Ziploc.
And they all seemed very concerned that he was in the Ziploc bag. But I
thought it was hilarious.
I have to say it was better than a Target bag, a la Sai from The Real Housewives of New York, who keeps her mom in the closet in a Target bag.
Point taken, but if a Target bag is an F-, the Ziploc bag is a D+.
Hey, at least Mercer gets to travel, okay? He's not in a closet. He's traveling to Spain.
My guess is he probably traveled a whole lot more when he was alive.
Yeah, well, in fact, she says that. I think where they were staying was like where he had something. I can't remember. She correlated the location they were at with him. Like he had been there. So I think that's why she brought him along, to spread his ashes.
Sutton's definitely coming to her own this season. I'll admit, I was wrong on Sutton in the beginning of the season. I gave her a hard time. She really rubbed me wrong on a few things.
She did with the Magic Mike thing was a little over the top, but she seems to have like mellowed.
She's hit her swim lane.
Yeah.
And but to the same token, I was wrong on Heather as well on Salt Lake.
Oh.
I loved Heather for the first couple episodes, and now I don't love her. I don't hate her, but I don't love her. I don't know what to think of Heather.
Yeah, she's dismissed.
Maybe I think she should be fired.
She's dismissed as far as I'm concerned.
She should be dismissed.
Yeah. Erika tells us in her talking head that she asked Mikey who Mercer was because she had never heard of him. And he said, "How dare you?" Storm comes in with the food. The food looks awesome. I was like, oh, man. I love tapas. I love tapas. Little samples of everything. Because then you don't have to commit to like one big thing. You get to try everything. Love it, love it, love it.
I didn't know what you called it. What fancy word you just called
tapas.
It just looked like good, delicious food.
Annmarie decides now's a great moment to ruin the vibe. I'm like, wah, wah. She's such a Debbie Downer.
Well, so here's the thing. I have another question for you. Don't you think at some point when you know Kyle's feeding her this data, And you know the producers want drama. Do you think it's possible that a producer walked into her room and said, you need to boop tonight?
No. I think all that, it was just her. I think she's trying, because I think she's trying to have a moment. I really do.
Her
and
problem
that's why
is
it's
that she's having
flat.
all kinds of moments.
I mean, it falls flat.
Yeah, they're blowing up in her face.
Yeah. So she says she has something she needs to get off her chest, and that she was upset about some of the things that went on the weekend before at the Homeless Not Toothless event. Sutton tells her, the esophagus talk was fine. I'm over it. But it was the lonely and insecure comment that really pissed me off. And we see a clip of Annmarie saying that she's going to wake up in the morning to her amazing children and her husband, and thank God that she is not lonely and insecure. Sutton tells her there are 3 divorced women at this table. And Garcelle tells her, I really took offense to the word lonely because you're implying that if you're single, that somehow you are lonely and desperate. And she admits that she wasn't proud of what she said, and then she apologizes. And she says, if I said anything to anybody that offended you, I am truly sorry. Crystal then pipes up and says, are you calling me insecure? And Annmarie says, oh, we're going to get to you. I was like, ew. Annmarie tells the women that the first time she met Crystal at a holiday party, that Crystal told Annmarie that the group of women were not very intelligent, were uneducated, and shallow. Crystal's like, that's ridiculous. All of the women chime in, and they're like, what are you talking about? We're educated, which they actually, all of them are educated.
But I did note, though, how the women who, at this point in our show, pretty much don't like Annmarie, but most of them believed her. That there was some truth to what she said. Like, as we watched the next 10 minutes unfold, they all kind of came out and said, I don't know, some truth to it.
I hate to give Annmarie any credit because I really do not like her. She rubs me absolutely the wrong way. I know I've said that like 100 times.
I could barely tell.
And the fact that we watched her imply that Sutton had an eating disorder, when Crystal then says, did you imply she has an eating disorder? She says, no, I didn't say that. Those are your words. And Crystal's like, I didn't say it. You did. She's like, no, she's lying. But the thing is we have seen Crystal in the past make comments about how the women aren't very intelligent. So, I don't know. In Dorit's Talking Head, she tells us...
there are no heroes on these shows, right? We're generally always dealing with the lesser of evils. I mean, Monica, right? I mean, we love Monica, but she's not someone we would let in our house.
No, I wouldn't be friends with her.
No.
But I love watching her.
It's great to watch her on TV, though.
Yeah.
She's not going to murder, what I mean?
Yeah. In Dorit's Talking Head, she tells us that Crystal is not more educated than the rest of them and calls her a child bride. And when she was busy getting married at 12, the rest of them were busy building businesses and going to college. And we see a photo of Crystal and Rob getting married, and it shows that Crystal was 24 when she got married. And I guess I am also a child bride because I was 23 when I got married. And I also had completed 4 years of college by the time I was 21, Dorit. So you could take your willfully ignorant comment and stick it up your ass.
My goodness, that was a lot.
She says the dumbest stuff.
She does seem to get under your skin.
Shit comes out of her mouth and she doesn't think. And also, Crystal owns a very successful coconut water business. Way more successful than any of Dorit's businesses. So... Dorit can take several seats as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Sorry to go on a little bit of a rant, but...
it was necessary.
Yeah. So Garcelle asks Crystal, did you say that? And Crystal tells her, I would not say that to somebody I just met. And I don't feel that way. Which I'm like, yeah, why would she say that?
But would she say it to someone she knew really well?
Well, we've seen her say that the women weren't very smart to people she knew.
Her answer was not
I guess
great.
She would.
And, and I don't feel that way. It doesn't mean you didn't say it.
Right. Well, and then they show us clips of Crystal in the past saying that the women are not very highly educated.
That answer reminded me of Neo in The Matrix dodging bullets.
Yeah. Annmarie also tells them that she said that the women were not true socialites and that she is the only true socialite in the group. Garcelle looks at her and says, why would you say that? And Crystal's like, it's offensive that you would even ask me that. Crystal asks them, have I ever called myself a socialite? And everybody says no. Then she says, Do I say I'm social? And they all say yes. Kyle adds in, all the socialites that I know never call themselves socialites. And Crystal's like, I agree. And then Sutton's like, well, I'm a socialite.
Yeah, I love Sutton.
I was like, okay, so,
and that's what I'm telling
so
you.
does that mean she's not a real socialite?
I think Garcelle was appropriate asking Crystal that question, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way she said, like, did you say that? Really, maybe she should have said, you didn't really say that, did you? In like a gentler way.
I think, let's not worry about the syntax of every question we ask at every moment. I think she was fine. Could she have done it better? Sure. But I think she was within the realm of appropriate.
Yeah, well, especially they've had history with her.
Yeah, and that's more what I'm talking about.
Them. Yeah.
If they had just met, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Annmarie then tells Crystal, you know, you really have a habit of making yourself seem better than everybody else. Crystal and Sutton both are like, yeah, no, I don't do that. And Crystal makes a good point. I've only met you a handful of times. Once again, Annmarie is making an assessment of someone that she doesn't really know. Is she basing this assumption off of watching Crystal in previous episodes?
Or conversations
or is
with
she
Kyle.
repeating, right, is she repeating something that she heard from somebody else?
I think
Kyle.
Kyle's stirring up shit.
Yeah, or...
And she probably was a fan. Probably watched the episodes.
I don't know that she necessarily told Annmarie, hey, go say this, or whatever. Maybe she filled her in, and Annmarie decided to take it upon herself to take this information that Kyle has given her and run with it. But she's making a lot of assumptions about people that she doesn't know. She's only been on for one season, and like to your point, a half a season. She didn't come into like episode 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is what you do, Sutton. You know, blah, 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 blah. Now she's saying this about Crystal. You try to make yourself seem like you're better than everybody else. It just doesn't make sense for somebody who doesn't really know them. Crystal asks her for an example of how she acts like she's better than everybody else. And she says, well, right now. And I'm like, wait a minute. So her defending herself is somehow her acting like she's above everybody else?
Wasn't a good move.
No, she's trying to defend herself.
You're allowed to do that.
I don't know. Annmarie tells her, you know, you're not being honest. Kyle in her talking head says, obviously there's something about Annmarie that provokes Crystal. She is normally more reserved. Yeah, it's Annmarie. It just in general, her general demeanor towards everybody in the group. Like she comes in and acts like she knows everybody and has everybody figured out. When, in fact, you know nobody. You're new.
Well, she's new, but I'm telling you, I think she has data. Someone's giving her data, or she's watched a lot
not
of
data
TV.
from her being around these women.
No.
It's data that somebody gave her.
Or she could have done research. I mean...
She came into this group with all these presumptions. She had presumptions about Sutton that she clearly formed off of what Kyle had told her, and now she's doing it with Crystal. Yeah. She doesn't know these women. She's only been here for a couple of months. Right. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care what you think. Okay. You're new.
There you go. And she's talking to me, team.
No, I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Annmarie. Annmarie tells Crystal, you gotta let go of your insecurity. And Crystal replies, yeah, this coming from a girl who calls herself a doctor, who's actually a nurse. Annmarie tells her to take it down a notch. You're acting like a hormonal teenager. Sutton tells them to stop because she doesn't want the little people to come out. Yeah. Annmarie then tells Crystal, you know, you should thank me for making your ass relevant. I was like, excuse me, Miss 8.5. She then says, don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Annmarie is really brushing up on her one-liners. I feel like she has practiced all of those sayings, and she was just waiting for the chance to use them. I feel like other housewives have also used those same things.
At least she wasn't reading them from
relevant.
Her hand.
Yeah, that is true. So they all get up and go to bed because Annmarie has ruined yet another moment on this show.
She's a killer.
Yeah, she really is. We see Garcelle going to Sutton's room at 1 a.m. because she's freaked out in this castle, and I get it. I'd probably have to be with somebody in my room as well.
Yeah, it won't be long before it's just Kyle that's going to film with Annmarie. And Kyle's not going to want to do it either. Kyle's like, why do I have to do it?
Well, we did see Garcelle really seemed to be filming with her. She kept going into her room. I guess because she has the opportunity. Yeah, she did, because her and Sutton are best friends. But I guess because she has the opportunity to be able to go like hang out with her one-on-one since they're...
I thought that was cool that because how they started sleeping in the same room, which was hilarious for us to watch. You know Garcelle suffered that night, right? I've been Garcelle.
You know what? It's either that or she was in that scary room all by herself. I would take Sutton too.
To go from that first night to last night, I thought that was cool.
Yeah. It is now the next morning. Everybody's getting ready. Erika's doing vocal exercises, which were like... Dorit's like, are you doing vocal exercises? I hear Boy George do them all the time like that too. So I guess they must have been legitimate exercises, but they were odd. That's for sure. No, New York, New York. Like just Jack. New York, New York.
That's, I think, why you have your own bedroom, because that's where you're supposed to do that.
Sutton goes to Crystal's room, and she asks her how she's doing after last night. She tells Sutton, Annmarie is a lot. Sutton tells her, Annmarie's calling you a liar in front of the whole group. Crystal tells her, I don't believe that anybody believes it. Unfortunately, in the talking heads, it appears that everybody thinks that there is an element of truth to what
they
Annmarie
sure
is
do.
saying.
Well, that's because there probably is an element of truth.
There
she
is.
said those very words.
Garcelle and Annmarie are talking about last night, and she tells Garcelle that she's not lying, that Crystal really did say those things. And we also see Dorit and Erika talking about it, and Erika tells us that she believes that there has to be some truth about it because Annmarie wouldn't just pull that out of nowhere. And yeah, the socialite thing, that does seem like pretty particular. She said you guys weren't real socialites. That seems like kind of like an odd thing to make up, like to pull that out of thin air. So.
I roll. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does that matter? I don't get that.
It doesn't. Or maybe Annmarie took it out of context, which is quite possible because we saw Annmarie.
That's my problem is I just don't have the context to either say it or care if you did say it.
Yeah. And we also saw Annmarie
if someone
take things out of context with Crystal. Crystal asked, are you implying that Sutton has an eating disorder? And she goes, those are your words, not mine. You said that. Wait, no, she didn't. She's asking you.
Exactly.
You're implying that.
If someone came and said, that sideshow Sean, he's not a socialite, I would go, no duh.
So all of the ladies are downstairs getting ready to go to the Sprinter van and to some church. Erika decides it's now a good time to share some news that she received about the earrings that she had to give up. The court has ruled that the client needs to prove that the money used to buy the earrings came from client money. And she tells them, remember, I said that the story is not over and to please listen to me. All of the women congratulate her, but she still seems to be missing the fact that millions and millions of dollars were stolen by her husband from his clients. And she does not seem to really show any empathy towards these people. If we're going to believe that she didn't know any of this was going on, she is kind of a victim as well. But your whole lifestyle was funded on stolen money. You have to acknowledge that, and that the money wasn't your husband's, which in turn means it's not yours.
Here's the thing. The universe that I believe we live in is all about balance. And so she just got an opportunity in Las Vegas. It isn't about being right. It's about doing right sometimes.
Exactly.
And yeah, you're right. Applaud you for that. And then what you should have done is then give it back. Because now you were right and then you did right.
Right. And I think Garcelle even says that in a talking head, doesn't she?
Something to that effect.
Yeah, like why doesn't she just let them have that money? Which I agree with. Erika tells us in her talking head that she doesn't need anyone to put their arms around her, but she wants them to acknowledge that what she said would happen is actually happening. And she was expecting more from these women after she got a favorable ruling, and she just didn't get that. Again, wrong audience. But that's because the women... Wrong audience.
No, I think the women were expecting more from her.
Yes. These people had...
Stop bringing it up, Erika.
Yes.
Okay? It's
like I said, know your audience.
In your life. Move on. No one wants to hear about it.
No. I agree. So they get into the vans. We see them driving on all these windy roads that have no guardrails. Crystal starts getting car sick, and she tells them to pull the car over. She gets out. She's like getting ready to get sick, or maybe she does get sick. They just don't show it. They get back into the car. She's like, look at my hands. The veins in my hands are swelling up. So they finally arrived at the church. She gets back out. She sits down. Garcelle goes over to Annmarie and asks her, what does it mean Crystal's hands are swelling and the veins in her hands are bulging? Annmarie slowly saunters over to her and asks if she's okay. I was expecting a little bit more out of her.
More urgency?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that made sense. So she seemed a little casual about it. It's like, what are you, car sick?
Right, for a medical professional. And maybe... we're going to see her do that.
They ended the episode on that moment. And did you see how they were kind of mixing the clip up a little bit? She was seated, then standing, then seated.
Anyways, Kyle decides she's going to call 911. And somebody else made this point. They said, "You're in Spain. Does 911 work there?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, that never even occurred to me."
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love Kyle.
I think Crystal had a panic attack.
No, everyone was getting carsick. I think she was dehydrated, and I think she was very carsick.
Yeah, but like if you're car sick, you don't feel like somebody needs to call 911. A panic attack, you think you're dying. You don't know what's going on. She even says, why are my hands like this?
Oh, I didn't hear Crystal say, go ahead and call 911.
No, Kyle says, I'm going to call 911. She doesn't say that's not necessary.
Right, the episode ended.
Yeah, I don't know. Next week, it looks like their trip continues. We see Sutton breaking down and crying, and I think it has something to do with her father. Anyway, that's all we have for you guys this week. Next week, we have Vanderpump Rules, so I will be recapping that, and then we'll be back again for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. So have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Good night, everyone.